My dear brothers and sisters in Jesus Christ, today the first reading is taken from the book of Wisdom, chapter 18, verses 6 to 9. It comes from the final part of the book, which is a triumphant reflection in Midrash style on Israel's exodus from Egypt. This particular section comes to picture the Israelites celebrating the Passover just before their liberation. They sing the praises and hymns with great confidence that they have received freedom from God, which will be fulfilled. In this sense of being on the way to salvation not yet arrived, yet confident that in God's faithfulness they will arrive a similar situation to that of the faithful as told in today's second reading, which is taken from the book Hebrews chapter 11 verses 1 to 2 and 8 to 19. The author gives one of the classic definitions of faith: the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things not seen, and relates this to the story of Abraham. Several times God promised Abraham that the land in which he was at that time wandering would be given to him and to his descendants. But Abraham never came into full and complete possession of the land. For his entire life he lived a wandering, tent-like existence in it, as a stranger clinging to God's promise of a true homeland. The author sees in this a paradigm of Christian life. Through faith in God's promise, believers have a sense that their true homeland is elsewhere, something which lends to present life in the world, an aspect of being strangers and nomads, pressed to extremes as it has been at times in Christian spirituality. This can induce an unhealthy alienation from present life in pursuit of a kind of pie in the sky when you die idea. But that is not the real sense of the biblical text, which is focused rather on the generosity of God. Strangers and nomads can enjoy and treasure the good things of the land through which they are passing. At the same time, they can be so buoyed up by the promise of what lies ahead as to be able to live a blessing, not disruption, in their wake. The Gospel reading of today revolve around a similar theme. The really important treasure is the one in heaven, the one that God proposes to give. The best thing one can do with present wealth is to use it to give alms to the poor. This converts it into heavenly credit, literally treasure in heaven, the only credit that survives the barrier of death. The remaining warnings play upon the familiar theme of watchfulness. Present-day believers hardly share the keen sense of the Lord's return that was so strong in the early days of the Christian movement, that has left such a strong impress upon the New Testament. But the sense of life as something for which we are always accountable remains. Like the servants awaiting their master's return, we are responsible and accountable, responsible for the welfare of others, especially the poor and disadvantaged, and accountable to God. This sense of God as a one to whom we are accountable need not stand in the opposition to the sense of God as a one who has determined to give us the kingdom. It is precisely because such riches are at stake that the responsibility is grave. Without endorsing slavery and above all the kind of punishments that defaulting slaves were accustomed to receive. The biblical text uses examples that its audience would recognize and respond to. We ought not allegorize the text and see in the examples pattern of the way that God acts. The divine generosity is not in doubt. What needs to be attended to is the capacity and readiness of human beings to receive what God has in store. God bless you. Amen.